Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is episode 3 of the Maxwell Files. Thanks, everybody, for joining me tonight for another episode of the Maxwell Files. First, before we get to our article, a quick update on Ghislaine Maxwell and her upcoming court appearance. According to reports tonight, Ghislaine Maxwell will make her court appearance on Friday. On Thursday and Friday, written arguments will be submitted by both sides, and then a bail hearing will occur directly after that, sometime on Friday. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell is still in New Hampshire. She will be being moved to New York very soon. I'm guessing tomorrow. They're very quiet about that kind of stuff. I have heard no reports on the actual day of moving her to New York. But that will definitely be happening relatively soon. I'm guessing sometime early this week, probably. If the hearing is scheduled for Friday, you would think that they'll be moving her within the next couple of days. That would be my guess. But we have a court date now. That will be her appearing before the judge. Her lawyers will ask for bail, I'm guessing. I'm guessing the state is going to deny that request, considering she is such a flight risk. She has the other citizenship, she has the means to get away, and obviously she still has the support network. So I am guessing that the judge will deny her the bail, and he or she, whichever, should deny her the bail, because Ghislaine Maxwell does not belong in society amongst normal, average people. Her behavior has dictated that she belongs nowhere but a prison cell. Today's article is from the Daily Mail, and the headline is, Ghislaine Maxwell sobbed, "Why is this happening? How could this happen?" when she appeared in court, according to Virginia Roberts, as Duke of York's sex accuser says Prince Andrew should be panicking after his old friend's arrest. I can't disagree with any of that. I'm glad that Ghislaine Maxwell is starting to understand the situation that she finds herself in. And B, there is zero chance that the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, a.k.a. the Prince of Toads, a.k.a. the Prince of Punk Asses, is not having some sleepless nights. This dude understands the stakes. He understands that he's shown up with zero receipts, and at this point, he does not have a leg to stand on as a defense. And I don't care how many great lawyers you compile. You, my friend, better work on your defense, because there is zero evidence provided by Prince Andrew at this point that you can look at and say, all right, well, this bit of evidence, this calls into question what Virginia has been saying for years. There is none of that, in my opinion, here. Zero of it. All we have is Virginia's rock-solid account of what occurred. And then the prosecution has basically put their stamp on what Virginia has been talking about by slapping that perjury charge on Maxwell. And that is what I think has Prince Andrew absolutely freaking out about at this point. And the nonsense that we hear from I'm saying this in quotes, source about Ghislaine Maxwell not flipping on Andrew, I find that ludicrous at best. She will do whatever it takes to preserve her own freedom or get a little bit less of a sentence. These people are all in self-preservation mode right now. They don't care about each other. There is no honor among thieves or among human traffickers. Ghislaine Maxwell sobbed, "Why is this happening? How could this happen?" when she appeared in court last week, claimed survivor Virginia Roberts. Maxwell appeared in court in the U.S. on Thursday, accused of helping disgraced financier, pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein identify, befriend, and groom multiple girls, including one as young as 14. Due to the restrictions imposed by the coronavirus pandemic, reporters could only listen in to the proceedings. Virginia Roberts said you could hear a very loud British woman screaming, "Why is this happening? How is this happening? How could this happen?" in court. Oh, that's music to my ears, folks. To think that Ghislaine Maxwell is this freaked out about what's happening, that she was caught this unawares, that she really thought in her hubris that she was going to get away with this. To hear this account of how she is reacting brings me great joy. And I know we shouldn't get joy of other people's misery, but Ghislaine Maxwell has brought it all on to herself. She has nobody to blame. She's the one that engaged in this shit. She's the one that acted as Jeffrey Epstein's confidant and shadow boss and co-conspirator and other person in a leadership position. She's not a victim here. She has nobody to blame but herself. She chose to do what she did. She chose to cruise around Central Park looking for young victims. She chose this life. She made her bed, now she must lie in it. Despite Miss Roberts' claims that Maxwell was sobbing on the phone call to the court, reporters who listened were unable to determine for certain it was her. Well, whatever, either way, who else was it going to be? Just some random English lady was on the phone crying, "This can't be happening"? Highly doubt that. Pretty sure that it was Ghislaine Maxwell. Indeed, some reporters said that the British voice that sounded upset was different to Maxwell's voice when she answered questions and identified herself to the judge on the call. Well, if she was upset, of course her voice is going to be a little bit different, right? And the voice did not sound like she had been sobbing moments before. Well, we know Ghislaine Maxwell is an epic actress. We know that she can turn on a dime and change her mood and change her vocal tones. We know this. We know how she treated these survivors. We know the mental abuse that they suffered. We know that she told Maria Farmer that she knows where Maria jogs every night and that an accident could happen at any time. We know the absolute control she exerted over all of these girls, all in the name of Jeffrey Epstein and her criminal organization. Miss Roberts, who claims she was trafficked by the pedophile, alleges Prince Andrew, aka the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, had sex with her on 3 separate occasions, including when she was 17, still a minor under U.S. law. The Duke categorically denies he had any form of sexual contact or relationship with Miss Roberts. "Yeah, no, not at all. That picture you saw of me, well, that really wasn't me. This is not the prince you are looking for," as he does the Jedi mind trick to try and convince us all. We've seen the picture, my guy. We know that you know Virginia Roberts. We've seen the emails that you sent to Ghislaine Roberts inquiring about Virginia. So don't act like you didn't know Virginia Roberts. Don't act like you guys didn't hang out at Tramp Nightclub. And do not for 1 second attempt to try and take this narrative and tell us you were not in that Belgravia townhouse with Ghislaine Maxwell, an underage Virginia Roberts, and Jeffrey Epstein. Because you were. In an interview with 60 Minutes, she said Prince Andrew should be panicking at the moment because Ghislaine doesn't really care about anyone else but Ghislaine. I think he would be quite shook up. And I agree with Virginia, 100% there. They don't care about anybody, folks. People like this have no compassion, no empathy. They don't have the capacity to love or care about other people. All they care about is power and consolidating that power and control. Really, it comes down to control. They want to control everything and everyone around them. And we've seen that time and time again with Jeffrey Epstein. We've seen that time and time again with people in Jeffrey Epstein's atmosphere, the core 4, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jean-Luc Brunel. These people are the incarnate of evil, in my opinion. And for years, they were able to operate right under everybody's nose in such a brazen manner because they were being given cover by an inept, disgusting, complicit legacy media. And criminally, they were being protected by their friends on high. But now, now, things have changed. The narrative has flipped. And the people are standing shoulder to shoulder with all of these survivors demanding justice. And not just in the United States of America, worldwide. The arrest has piled more pressure on U.S. authorities to question the Duke, aka Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, about his friendship with Epstein, who killed himself last August, allegedly, before facing trial on sex trafficking and conspiracy charges. Again, that is their predicate to speak to Andrew, right? Oh, well, we know you were around him, so we want to have a little talk with you about that. But really, what these prosecutors are going to do is pull the end around. They're going to try and walk him in to lying. They're going to try and walk him into perjury. They're going to try and walk him in to making a fool of himself. And at the same time, condemning himself to the charges the FBI has. That's what they're going to try and do. This has nothing to do with him being a witness, in my opinion. Now, do I have any inside information to substantiate that claim? No, I don't. But that's how the FBI works. If you think the FBI is honest with you when they're trying to prosecute you, you have not been paying attention to the way these people operate. The FBI will do whatever it takes to get a prosecution. And if they think calling Andrew in as a witness is their best move and the move that helps them get to their goal, they're going to use that as a chip to try and get him into the chair. But once he's in that chair, well, the questions and the pressure will begin. The Joe Exotic of the Windsor family has previously claimed he has offered 2 times to be a witness in the case and has said he is willing to cooperate. But U.S. prosecutors say he has declined their request to schedule an interview. Now, that's kind of interesting, right? We've talked about this several times, but I wonder if they offered up a written interview and the prosecution declined and said, no, we want to have a sit-down interview with him. We want to see his body language. We want to talk to him. And we want to follow up with questions. And I think that Andrew's team would totally be against that. Like I said, I have zero doubt that they want nothing to do with Andrew sitting down in front of a seasoned investigator. If the Emily Maitlis interview was any indication of the way this man prepares, oh, he would be in big, gigantic, huge trouble. A grand jury returned a sealed 6-count indictment against her on June 29th, almost a year after Epstein was charged. It accuses her of enticing underage girls to travel for sex, actually having sex with them, and Epstein, and later lying about it under oath in depositions when she was being sued by Virginia Roberts, one of Epstein's accusers, who says she had sex with Prince Andrew when she was 17. And again, I think that's the point we have to focus on. Now, we have different levels of behavior in this case, right? We have one tier of people who acted as enablers for Jeffrey Epstein. People that acted as conduits for him reinserting himself into so-called polite society. And then there's another level altogether. Those are the people that are being directly implicated in abusing one or more of these survivors. And Prince Andrew falls into that category. So I have a hard time believing that the FBI is just trying to talk to him about their so-called friendship, what he might have seen. I think the FBI has a bigger play here. Now, do they have the cojones to pull it off? Do they have the wherewithal to pull it off? I don't know about all of that. But this strategy certainly is not just about him being a witness. Despite Epstein being dead and Maxwell now in custody, Miss Roberts still thinks there are more people culpable. Yeah, there sure are. There was a whole criminal organization of people being involved in this. Not 1 or 2 people, not 3, not 4. Multiple. We're talking the core 4. We're talking Jean-Luc Brunel. We're talking Darren Indyke. We're talking the Dubins. We're talking Wexner. This is a massive cover-up, folks. And the legacy media has been complicit every step of the way. She said there were so many women in Epstein's organization that participated, who procured and who benefited from his sickness. I think Jeffrey was dirty and he was sick. He was a pedophile. Ghislaine, she is the wicked one. And these women with her, they deserve the same punishment. They should be taken down as well. And those women obviously are the core four. If you're new to my podcast, obviously I have a ton of content. But if you're looking for more information on the women that Virginia's talking about right here, it would be the core four, and those women are Sarah Kellen Vickers, Adriana Ross, Leslie Groff, and Adriana Marcinkova. Those are the names that you would want to look up and do some research on, and make sure you go back in the catalog here and find those episodes and listen to them. I've had an influx of people who have subscribed to the podcast and followed me on Twitter lately. So if you're new to the case and you have just started following it, those are the women lieutenants that Virginia is speaking about here. So make sure you do some research on them, check out my episodes that pertain to them, and get yourself educated on who they are, because they are very important pieces of this story moving forward. It comes as ministers are hoping Prince Andrew will speak to the FBI over his links to Maxwell and pedophile billionaire Jeffrey Epstein without them having to intervene. We talked about that earlier. The ministers would much prefer not having to put pressure on the royal family and catch themselves in quite the pickle. They would much prefer Andrew comes forward himself and speaks to the FBI's. Because if they don't exert the pressure, well, they're going to have to deal with diplomatic nonsense with the United States. If they do exert pressure at home, they're going to have to deal with the blowback from the royal family. So these ministers want to avoid that if they can, right? At the end of the day, they're politicians. What they want is for Andrew to just comply. I think they're going to be waiting a long time for that. U.S. prosecutors have lodged a formal request to interview Andrew, a friend of Epstein's, made through the filing of a mutual legal assistance to the Home Office, as reported by the Sunday Telegraph. An MLA is a part of an agreement with the United States that means they can ask for assistance from British authorities in criminal matters. It's pretty interesting, again, that they bypassed the royal family at Buckingham Palace and went directly to the Home Office here. The request causes something of a predicament for Home Secretary Priti Patel, with the government keen that the U.S. authorities and Andrew sort the issue out between themselves. That's what I was just talking about. They would much prefer not to have to get involved in this. This is a political hand grenade ready to go off in everybody's face. And to tell you the truth, I don't even feel bad for them. They should have done something years ago. This young girl was abused in London, and countless other girls were abused in London, by the way. And nobody did shit. Nobody stood up. Nobody protected them. You would think, after the debacle with Jimmy Savile, that everybody would be aware of what's going on over there, huh? Andrew has previously claimed he has offered 2 times to be a witness in the case. And again, that's very interesting. If he offered to be a witness, well, that's fine, but maybe the prosecutors, like I was saying a minute ago, don't want him as a witness. They want him for something entirely different, perhaps. A source close to the Duke said, "We've been in contact with the U.S. Department of Justice saying we're willing to offer assistance. The Duke has indicated his intention to cooperate with the investigation, and the ball is now in their court." Well, pretty simple. Get in your little horse-drawn carriage or whatever the hell it is you use to get around, put on the proper kit, and walk over to the FBI office and give a statement under oath and let them question you. All this other jazz is noise, Joe Exotic of the Windsor family. Let's get down to business. There is still a dialogue going on, and we are sure the Home Office would not want to intervene. Yeah, that's a bit of a shot over the bow, right? Kind of an implied threat. Hey, Home Office, you better back off. We'll take care of this. The Prince will take care of this. How dare you? This is the Prince of England we're talking about. Meanwhile, to the rest of us, besides a handful of monarchists, we all roll our eyes and shake our head, and we know that this moron puts his socks on the same way we do every single morning, except he is such an idiot, he probably puts his on inside out. Joe Exotic of the Windsor family must come forward, he must speak under oath, and he must tell the authorities everything that he knows. Anything less is unacceptable. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. You will be able to find all of the links that pertain to the podcast and a link to the source in the description box. All right, everybody, I'll be back tomorrow and we'll start all over again. Hope you all enjoyed your weekend.